All right. And now we are also on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And if you are just tuning in, you are in the perfect space and at the perfect time. I'm Aura Vasquez, and I want to welcome you to another Get to Know the Candidate. Today we have Carolyn Jiyoung. Actually, that's her name, and she will tell us more about that. Park, who is running for judge of Superior Court. And I have a lot of questions about this because even though I am very politically involved, I don't know much about the office that she is running for. So I'm excited to host her today. She's someone that I have met through running for delegate. So with no further ado, let's welcome Jiyoung Park. Hi, welcome.
Hi. Good to see you. I like your
You
eyeshadow.
too. Thank you so much for joining us today. Oh, I hear the echo. Let me lower the volume already. Um, but I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for being with us. Is For me, it's very special to have you because I actually have never had any candidates for judge, and I have so many questions. But I first would like to start by asking you to introduce yourself to our community and tell us a little bit about who you are.
Sure. So my name is Carolyn Jiyoung Park. My legal name is actually Carolyn Park, but I was born with the Korean name Jiyoung as well. It didn't make it onto my birth certificate, but over time, I really prefer being called by my Korean name, Jiyoung. Hi, Abby. and so I will be on the ballot with Jiyoung in quotes in the middle of Carolyn and Park. Yeah, I was born and raised here in LA to Korean American immigrants. And like so many immigrants, my parents worked 7 days a week to make a life here in the US and provide for me and my siblings. Um, they had like small businesses like a restaurant. And if you know restaurants, it's really, really hard work to run a restaurant. And I was fortunate enough to have a good education and become the first person in my family to become an attorney. And then over my over 18 years of practicing law, I've tried to pay it forward by serving regular working people throughout LA County. So for many years, I worked at a public sector union and represented state workers from all walks of life, from custodians to healthcare workers to tax auditors, like at people who work at EDD, DMV, the vet homes. And I've also worked with unaccompanied minors who cross the border without a parent or guardian, and I actually spoke to them in Spanish somehow.
Amazing. Thank you for that.
And I've also taken on a number of pro bono cases representing people who were peacefully exercising their constitutional right to protest. And I currently have a private law practice working in civil rights, labor, and small business matters.
Wow, incredible! And you are, and I'm thinking you are a native Angelina, for what I understand, correct?
Born and raised. This is my city. I mean, I acknowledge that these are the traditional lands of the Chumash, Tongva, and Kizh, but I feel very attached to this land, and I love the people here, warts and all.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So one of the questions that I have for you, and you and I met through the process of running for delegate and, through other, kind of work when I ran for city council. So I commend you for running because it's such a difficult thing to do. It's just such a crazy thing to do, and it takes a lot of courage. but we'll get to talk more about how it's been your experience about running. But first, I want to just ask you what would a superior court judge do, and why should Angelinos care? Like, a lot of my community are not very political, believe it or not. A lot of my, at least on Instagram, they're not very political, but they have come to embrace more politics because, you know, I make it very approachable for them. So why would they even vote? What does a superior judge does?
Okay.
If you can guide us through that, please educate us, because much part of this is about getting educated on elections.
I would love to. So this is a county-wide race. Everyone in LA County can vote in these elections, and these judicial elections affect everyone in LA County. Mm-hmm. I think almost everyone listening or hearing this or watching this has had some kind of contact with the courts, whether that's traffic, small claims, civil court, criminal court, family, probate, juvenile court, and appellate court. So if you've ever had a divorce, if you've ever had child custody issues, if you've ever had a traffic, had a traffic issue violation.
When you go fight your tickets and stuff like that,
you know what I mean?
That will be you when you get elected.
So any of these judicial candidates, when they get elected, they can be assigned to any of these courts. And we actually don't have really a choice in the matter. We can state a preference, but we get assigned wherever we get assigned. And the question is, do you want to have a judge who is a conservative, hard on crime, former district attorney who wants to recall Gascon, or do you want somebody who's going to be fair and apply the laws in a fair manner and looks at you and views you as a human being, and actually listens to what you have to say?
Yeah, I want to dive deeper on that piece, because I think a lot of people think that, oh, you're asking for, give criminals a pass. I have heard so many people say this, and I want to just clarify that people of color, people that look like me, people that look like you, women of all colors, in fact, immigrants, we are not the same, even as much as you want to believe that. I want to believe that myself in deep in the bottom of my heart. But we get stopped more by the police on traffic stops, on the freeway. People of color, Black men especially, get especially targeted because of something called bias. So go out there, friends, and search about bias. Learn about bias, read articles about bias, get trainings on bias, because we are all biased. But some of these biases are very dangerous, because some people actually end up in jail for many years. So I think what Jiyoung is trying to allure is that she's going to be impartial, and she's going to have those biases on check, which there are other judges that are, I hate to say, but like white, older, sometimes males, that don't have those biases on check. We all have biases. I want to repeat, everybody has a bias. But the idea here is that you have the awareness that you have them, so you can put a pause and you can be impartial. And maybe this is a good time for you to tell us your experience when you work through mindfulness, which I thought I read that in your bio, and I didn't know about you. And that's something so important, at least to me, that I'm also a fellow meditator. and that meditation and mindfulness of whatever practice. If you don't practice meditation, that's okay. Whatever practice you run, you swim, whatever it is that you do, if you practice if you bring in awareness, things change. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that experience and what was that like for you and how you can bring that experience to your position as a judge?
Well, thank you so much for uplifting that we all have biases, and that people on the bench, judges, all have biases, and that people have biases to varying degrees, and what affects how much you have checked your biases, I think, has to do with how much you've interacted with people from all walks of life. Okay. And so people like public defenders, people like me who, worked at a union, and essentially what my role, much of my role was essentially being kind of the equivalent of a public defender in a union setting, because I was helping people who were accused of misconduct, workers who were accused of misconduct. So through that work, like I said before, I worked with people from all walks of life, like throughout LA County, different incomes. Like I said, people from custodians to tax auditors. I represented people who are attorneys who work at the California State Bar. So through working with all these different kinds of people, I dealt with people who were dealing with being unhoused, people who were in ICE detention, and people who were being disciplined by management for speaking Spanish on the job.
How sad is that?
Yeah. And so I think that through all of my experience and working, being in the trenches with people who are having these experiences, I'm better able to check my biases, as opposed to somebody who is a career DA, a prosecutor, whose job it is to put people in jail.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so important. So earlier you were telling us, that you will be dealing, you are going to be that judge, when you're fighting your tickets or you're getting divorced and you're like, I guess dividing properties or like other small cases, I'm assuming. Would you also deal with criminal cases, or that's not going to be under your purview?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
So once a judicial candidate is elected, they are assigned by whomever assigns out the assignments. We can be assigned to any court, and we can start out in, say, traffic court, and then eventually be transferred to criminal court. But basically we have no say. But it's more than likely that, say my slate mates who are public defenders, it's more than likely that they'll be placed in a criminal court.
Got it. How do judges get, and I'm sorry, like, I'm just very curious because I have much knowledge about this realm of like the work. How do judges get assigned their cases? Is it just kind of like a lottery?
No, it's not a lottery. It's more intentional than that. It's really about what vacancies exist, and I think it's the Chief Justice in the LA Superior Courts who does the assignments.
Got you. Excellent. So, okay, we talked about who you are. You were able to introduce yourself. Also, you've been telling us what your role will be in charge of what what will you be doing. And I want to then ask you why you want to run for office. I run for office. It's a very crazy thing for to run for office in general for anyone, and especially for women. I feel like it's especially more. Tell us why you're running.
I'm running because we need diversity on the bench. You know, I have a lot of litigation experience under my belt. I've done a lot of arbitrations, and most of the judges and most of the arbitrators do not look like the people in my communities. They tend to be, frankly, still mostly white men. Only 37.4% of trial judges in California are women, even though women are half, if not slightly more, than the graduating law school students. And so we have a long way to go to catch up in terms of having gender parity on the bench. And, you know, there needs to be way more people of color, BIPOC folks on the bench, more women of color. And what's most important is that we have more judges of diversity of legal background and of thought. So prosecutors and corporate attorneys are overrepresented on the bench, and especially through the election system. So I just want to back up. Judges can get on the bench through two ways. They can either be appointed by the governor or they can be elected. And through the election process, get this, no public defender has ever been elected onto the bench.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So no judge that we have ever seen for speeding tickets, for getting divorced, for fighting because the governor didn't do what he needed to do and we ended up in court. Like, none of those judges have been elected by the people ever.
No, elected. No public defender has been elected. There have been public defenders who have been appointed by the governor as a judge, but no public defender has ever been elected. The voters in the past have really voted mostly prosecutors onto the bench because of this hard-on crime mentality of just wanting to put people in jail. And it's also because the people who tend to vote tend to be older and of a certain demographic. And that needs to change.
Absolutely.
Everyone needs to vote.
Absolutely. And on that, I want to invite everybody to ask your questions on the comments for Jiyoung Park, who is running for LA Superior Court Judge. She's also just educating the hell out of us, which is very important too. I think you also are really honing in another piece, which is we need to get young people to vote. We need to get people of color to vote. We need to get renters to vote. We need to get low-income people to vote. And if you are in the state of California, there are no excuses for you. You are getting your ballot in the mail. When is it? May 9th? It's like in a week or so. And you don't even have to leave your home. You don't. You can just fill out the ballot and send it. And that's the beauty of now having ballots, mailed to us. So make your plan to vote. Call your best friend, your archie enemies, your ex-boyfriends, your future husbands. Call them all. Call everybody. Post it on your social media. Text folks. Get involved in campaigns. more than ever we need you, because these are like very, very important things. So if we can move forward in this conversation, what would be like your platform? Like, what are some of like the things that you would like to say? Do judges have platforms, or you just have to kind of be impartial, or do you have a platform?
We can have like a general platform. We cannot commit to voting a certain way, because we do have to apply the law, and we have to apply the law fairly and impartially. But what I can say is that I, when given the chance, want to connect the people coming through the courtroom with the services that they need to be productive members of society. And instead of, you know, having families broken up unnecessarily, you know, growing the largest jail system in the world, you know. So that's one aspect of what I would like to do. Another thing that's really important to me as a child of immigrants is to make sure that there's language justice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So you know, I think that there was like one um, Keach Quiche interpreter in the LA Superior Court system, and I think that that person may have passed from COVID, but basically, you know, we need, like, anybody who comes through the justice system needs to be able to put forward their case
Yeah.
in their own language. And so I want to make sure that that happens as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think something that is important that is always so heartbreaking for me is all these cases of like rape or sexual abuse or sexual harassment, that certainly then it's the women's fault and are really hard to fight, because it's just, again, the system is not set up. So I agree that having a diverse voices and having more women on the bench will be really a tremendous change, for our city and for the lives of so many people, that come before judges that sometimes have been. I mean, I have been in front of judges that are insensitive myself, so I know what's like to like be out there, and yeah, definitely, absolutely. Well, so you're running with a slate of other three. I mean, it's four of you. Tell us a little bit about your slate and the work that you all female slate are doing. Yeah.
Thanks so much for uplifting that. Yeah, I'm one of the four defenders of justice. We are four women attorneys who, I think we're actually, I know we are the first slate of judicial candidates with progressive values to ever
Mm.
run in LA County. So other cities and counties have had judicial candidates with progressive values, but LA County has never had that as a slate. And we're four women. The other three are public defenders. And as you know, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's confirmation was a big deal, because there's never been a former public defender to get onto the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And like we said, there aren't enough public defenders, even just at the lowest level of the justice system, in the trial courts. So I'm the labor / civil rights attorney, and we're about to change the game.
Yeah, I have another question, because people often forget that in LA, I'm sorry, guys. I've been sick. But in LA, only 11% of the people vote. On 4 million LA city, 4 million people city, 8 million in the county. Is really disheartening. How many votes do judges get to win?
That is a very, very good question. So when I looked at the last election cycle that had judges, there were a total of about 1.5 million. Now, I don't know what effect everyone getting mail-in ballots will have on voter turnout this time, because
Right.
They're not. We're not even turning out. We're just
we're
mailing it in.
and voting mailers.
So man, I really hope that people just fill the thing out that comes to their house and take 5 minutes to fill it out. And if you don't know how to fill it out, please, ask your friends about a voter guide, that they trust, because it only takes 5 minutes to participate in who is going to make these decisions that affect your daily life in so many different ways. And if you're not speaking up, somebody else who you probably don't want to speak for you is actually making the decisions for you. And so, I think people should, I've heard of people having, planning voting parties.
Yeah, those are cool. And also in the Latinx community, we often talk about making a plan, because actually the females in Latinx, Latinos, Latinas, todos, we tend to listen to the women in the home. So it's the moms and the wives that made the decisions and tell everybody else how to vote. So it's for my Latin community, Latinx, Latine community out there. I want to encourage you a levantarnos todos a votar. We have to vote. Make your plan now. We have a week. So after church on Sunday, get together with the fam, la carne asada, barbecue, whatever it is, get everybody's ballot and do it together and make sure that you're voting for the right people. And Jiyoung Park is running for judge, and we need good judges on our side, because one day it will be our cousin, one day it will be us, one day it will be our father, our mother, our auntie, las tías, las primas, whoever it is, your best friends that are going to have to go to court, and you want a compassionate judge hearing your case. And earlier we talked about bias, and just like, how do you deal with bias and being impartial, which is so important for, when you're a judge. Well, running for office is extremely difficult. I commend you for doing that. What are some of the most challenging things that you personally experienced? And be candid, because one of the things that I try to share with my community is the reality of what's like to be in the campaign trail, and all of the sharky waters that you have to swim in, and the politics, and people saying crazy things about you that are not true, and making things up and twisting things. So I really try to share with my community the reality of what's like. Not because I want everybody to run, by the way, but because I want people to understand how much courage it takes for you to every day to wake up and say, all right, today I'm going to knock more doors. Today I'm going to make more phone calls. Today I'm going to make another video. Today I'm going to talk about this, because it's extremely hard. So tell us, what's been for you personally one of the most challenging things about running for office?
Well, first of all, this is a countywide race. So it's actually, it's way bigger than a city
The
council
ocean for the
district.
sharks is way bigger. Yes, I know the sharky waters are bigger. Yes, I can
Uh,
imagine.
and just the sheer number of people that we're supposed to reach is just incredible. I mean, there are 6 million eligible voters in LA County, and there's no possible way that we can go to every single door. And so just trying to figure out how to have how to get our message across to people throughout the county is really a huge challenge when the campaign coffers and budgets for judicial candidates is so much less than even like a city council candidate.
Mhm.
And by the way, I want to say that you know the three other people on the Defenders of Justice slate and myself, you can vote for all four of us because the office number,
Let's do it.
hey,
Vote for that slate.
because the office number is not tied to any district. It's really just a vacancy and a position number. And all judges can be placed anywhere throughout LA County.
Gotcha.
Um,
Yeah, I saw the 118 in your website, and I was like, is that like her lucky number? How do the people choose the number? Yeah.
it's just like a vacancy number. It's just a position number. Um, so yeah, so running in a county-wide race means we have to have like, I don't know, like 25 times more Democratic club meetings, organization meetings. At the same time, it's great to talk to all these different people, but it is a lot for one person to talk to all these different groups throughout the county.
Oh, the endorsement process. Okay, so I want to do like a candidates kind of round table, not even like, because I mean, the stuff that happens when you're trying to get endorsed, it's like House of Cards. I'm not even joking. It can be so insane, and votes and people calling and texting, and it's just wild. It's just really, 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 really crazy. But yeah. But besides all of those things, I think every day when we're out there advocating for our community, letting them know that we're running, sharing our vision, there are so many wonderful, beautiful moments that take place too. So leave us with something, an anecdote, or maybe something that you want to share with us, with my audience, about something beautiful that you remember that actually keeps you going, with your candidacy.
What keeps me going is the community. So, we have tremendous support from the community. We're backed by a coalition that includes La Defensa, Ground Game, Working Families Party,
Yeah.
and um, and volunteers that put in so much of their time. I think this may be like the first judicial races in which there's actual canvassing,
Mm.
because the way judicial candidates mostly campaign is by paying for those slate mailers, where just like whoever pays to be on them is on them.
Right.
And so
Right.
to have an actual campaign that has a unified message about true public safety, through, just having more systems of care to the extent possible.
More investments to our communities too, I think is super important.
Yeah, and having a message of addressing the root causes of crime and inequity in our society, and having all these people support us with their time and energy and passion for this larger effort is really what keeps me going. And so I'm so grateful to everyone who has donated, who has, canvassed, who helped me fill out questionnaires.
Yes. All those things matter. And for those of you that are watching, you see a banner, at least on Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. You see a banner with our guest speaker here today. I'm gonna post it on the chat. I'm gonna post it here on the chat so that you can follow her, and that you can also, if anything resonated with you here, just get involved, and donate your time. That's also money, dude. Like people knocking on doors, making phone calls, texting their friends. That is also a contribution.
100%.
So go ahead and contribute. Get involved. If this is something that maybe you don't know a lot about and you want to learn more, this is the perfect place. This is the perfect time for you to get involved and learn more about what a judge does, how they're influential in your life, how they affect your life, and good candidates that are running for office. Okay, people are saying that they owe me calls. All right, okay, great. Well, yes, I have been battling actually a sinus and a bronchial infection, which I have to say is worse than COVID, this thing that I have, in my opinion.
No.
I had COVID before in last year in December, and my COVID was just not very severe, but whatever this is, it's been kind of wild. So I appreciate people watching and all the messages and all the things that people are that people have been also very generous with their prayers and their thoughts, and also for just participating here and getting to know other wonderful people that are involved and that are doing beautiful things in our community. Okay, some of the last things, just to wrap up, how people can get in touch with you. What do you need? How, if somebody's watching right now, or maybe later on when they share this video with their friends and in their social media, how can they support you?
There are so many ways to support me. One way is to donate to my campaign. There's a donation button on my website. What that allows me to do is spread the message throughout the county. Like I said, there's no way that I can go door to door to all 6 million voters throughout the county. Right. So, I have to buy digital ads and stickers and pins and flyers. I would love to get t-shirts, and yard signs. So it takes funds to buy those things. So that would be really helpful. I know everyone isn't in a position to be able to do that. So like you said, donating time by canvassing, by talking to your friends and family about the defenders of justice candidates, including myself, and sending out emails. If each of you, right? Yes, they're so expensive. If each of you,
absolutely,
if each of you, spoke to 10 people or sent out an email blast and then asked every one of those people to then send out an email blast or talk to 10 people, we can cover the whole county in a pretty short period of time, so just spreading the word. We're also doing canvassing. There's so many different ways. And if there's some creative way that you want to help out, you want to like run my TikTok or something, then you can reach out to me on my website.
Yes, absolutely. And when I ran for office, we also had to make some choices, and my voters, at least my voters, were not on TikTok. But it's good. But I'm not discouraging from using TikTok. I think it's important. The thing is that TikTok is great to educate that community, like the younger people. But it's good to know where your audience is. So just to, like me, that I navigated the waters of social media in my campaign, definitely had to make some choices. All right. Well, thank you so much. I see some beautiful messages here. Some other folks were messaging on Instagram and on Facebook here that they were excited to hear this conversation. I want to thank you so much for being here with us, for having the courage to do this, for educating us about what judges do and how they get elected and why do they even care, and we hope that in 9 days, or 9 or 10 days, and May 9th, when ballots should be dropping, that you all don't wait and immediately make a plan. Get your ballot together. Call your friends. I already said your ex-husbands and future wives. Call everybody, your fiancés, your Frenchy enemies, your neighbors, your landlord, and make sure that everyone is ready to vote and that you also expressing who you are voting for. All right. Thank you so much for your time today, and I'll see you very soon.
Thank you so much for doing this while you have a bronchial and sinus infection. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much. So, all right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today at another Get to Know the Candidate. I hope that this conversation was educational to you, that was enlightening, and that has inspired you to get involved. Don't forget that the conversation always continues online. So please feel free to continue making comments on the chat. Share this video with your friends and your family and in your networks so that we can spread the message more. Have a great afternoon, everyone, and we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.